かっこいい。マジでこの人かっこいいかも。
Tasayutasnapa here for Appon Episode 2, Season 2. And today we have something new for you guys, and that's an interview with an American seiyuu, Rachael Lillis. She's been known for her roles in Pokemon as Misty, as Jesse from Team Rocket, and also smaller characters like Jigglypuff. And she's been in Shaman King, Utena, Slayers, and a whole slew of other animes that you've probably watched. Check our show notes for the rest of her information. But for now, let's check out Appon Episode 2, Season 2, an interview with Rachael Lillis.
Can't you tell? I think if I weren't in the Force, with a lot of clear-cut rules for everything, I'd end up just drifting in my life.
Now, people, don't you all think we should see the bride and groom kiss?
Everyone knows you're supposed to kiss after you exchange rings.
To protect the world from devastation.
To unite all peoples within our nation.
To denounce the evils of truth and love. To extend our reach to the stars above.
Hey, what about Vermilion City? It's right on the water and there are lots of neat Pokemon, and you can watch all the giant yachts pulling into the harbor.
I mean, it's not like I'm Kazuki's girlfriend or anything. We're just good friends.
Can you tell us about how you got your start in voice acting?
Well, I always wanted to do it, and I got my start by it was just my primary focus. I got into voice acting classes when I was in school, and I was working part-time, so I paid for them, and my parents were a little nonplussed, like, what is this that you're doing? And I didn't really talk much about it, because I figured that they weren't interested. Oh, you don't want to know. And it's like, yeah, it was fun, and I would always want to do it. I watched cartoons when I was little, and so I just kind of worked from there. It was very, very incremental, very small steps, right. And just made one demo after another, and it just kind of takes on a life of its own as you go, as the people that you meet.
Oh, all right. Okay, so do you ever work on like more than one series at a time? You know, if so, like what's the most you've ever done in one period of time?
Oh dear. There was one time when I was working like 30 hours a week as a voice actor, on top of my 50-hour week other jobs.
That's 80 people.
That's 80. and it was I had very diverse jobs. I waited tables, I worked in a library, I worked in an investment bank, and then from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I would work in an investment bank, and then that was like third shift, and then in the morning I would sleep, and then go to another job, and then in the afternoon I would do
I'd assume you got to meet like a lot of people doing all this stuff?
I don't remember that because I was so sleep deprived. But there was a time when I was like, "Hi, nice to meet you." I'd be like, "Who are you?" But yeah, I was working on about 5 shows at one point. There was Pokemon, Utena was at the same time, and then that was interweaved with now and then here and there. Some Maytel Legend. There were some things upstate in Irvington at Headline Studios that I was doing. So there was a time when it was pretty busy.
So the characters were just coming on auto when you're on air to do it.
Yeah, basically.
You ever confused your characters at times, like because you're so tired?
Well, actually no, but sometimes you say like a person's actual name. Like if the voice actor's already recorded before you, like that's happened on Pokemon a couple of times. It's like, Eric, James.
It's like, oh. Ooh, I'm so sorry, Jesse.
That's happened a couple of times. Yeah, you don't realize you're doing it when you have that kind of schedule. Like I'm sure you felt that way when you.
Oh yeah, just getting torn in a million ways.
Yeah.
All right, well, here's a fun one. Which kind of role do you like better, the hero, the villain, or the like everyday, average person?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, a lot of people say that they love to play the bad characters because villains are fun. Because you do get to be bad. You can, if somebody bumps into you when you're waiting in line at Starbucks, you're just like, okay, I'll let it ride. But in the booth, if you're playing a villain, you can actually say.
Get all like theatrical and like.
Yeah, you can say, get off of me. You know, you can actually be that person that you can never be.
Bad is
in
always
real
better.
life. Yes, bad is always better. Villain is always very fun. It is a lot of fun because you can just be a little crazy. You can be very calm. Villains have a lot of multifacets like that. But at the same time, you can also have a lot of fun with the everyday characters. If it's a slice of life kind of show, you can really put your day into it.
Right.
You can be yourself in that sense. So it kind of works both ways.
Okay. Well, since as for the villain side, you know, you're known for playing Jesse on Pokemon, right? And you've been doing that for a while. Has that character evolved for you, like during the approach, when you were doing it from like the beginning till now? And has that character ever like got embedded in you as well, like in the real world?
Well, I guess she did evolve because at the very, very, very beginning of the show, we didn't know a lot about the show. So when I auditioned for her, I didn't see any picture of her. There was no pre-roll.
Oh, so it was just like a blind date.
It was a total blind date. It was just words on a page with, and her name was, and I said, what is this Musashi? And it's like Musashi, I think is the proper pronunciation. And I said, who's it? And they said, she's just the baddie. That's what they said. And she's got a lot of hair and she's very brr. And I said, okay. So I auditioned just with those words and not seeing anything. And from there, they said at the very beginning, make her really tough. And then after that, they said, you know what? These villains are not really all that evil. I mean, they really try to be, but they're terrible at it. So there was a lot more comedy. So over the years, it went from, you know, always that glare to, you know, glare and then trip over your own feet.
Because we've noticed that, like, during her course of evolution, she's turned into, of course, the character that wears the pants in the team, and you know,
literally, figuratively,
and has the evilness in a different way, which is really interesting.
Yeah. She's very layered. They did an episode where she was a nursing student, and she was a teenager, and she didn't fit in, and she got kicked out, and she was just a very wounded soul. And you find out that, and I love when they do that because you're like, oh my gosh, there are layers to these.
So they're like deep characters.
Yeah, it's like, wow, they've really had it kind of rough. Nobody wanted them. They're like all Team Rocket. They're like lost puppies or lost kittens in Meowth's case.
That's why they're lovable.
That's why we love them. Yeah, so it was interesting.
See, that's really good to know. Okay, well, since you're also a music vocalist, right? Are you ever glad to take on a role that has singing in it?
Well, Team Rocket did a little bit of singing, and I was very nervous because I hadn't recorded anything before. So that was what I cut my teeth on. I guess in Japan, the people who do their voices are vocalists and very, very popular recording artists. So we had to kind of follow in their snow tracks and tried to do our best. But it was and Eric Stewart has a band. Maddie Blaustein is a good singer. And we just kind of made it work. After that, there was something in Captain Tylor OVA where I had to sing something in its entirety. And this time, I was laying down the snow tracks. And I was a nervous wreck. And the director got his roommate to record it for me. His name is Dan Green, actually, before he came into anime and did Yu-Gi-Oh! I still have the cassette tape where he modeled the song for me. And so it was kind of like a karaoke thing. But yeah, and I was nervous, but it was a very valuable experience.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And to date, what has been your most challenging role?
Ooh, challenging. Well, I'd say in terms of physical exertion required for it, I'd say maybe I think probably somebody like Princess Martina from Slayer's Next. She was the first time I'd ever done a character that was a roller coaster. She was very difficult to do in terms of, she was so unpredictable.
Always spazzing out.
Very spazzing, and and then she'd do the sad eyes with the tears, and then she'd be bouncing off a planet somewhere. It was insane. I mean, you can do anything in anime, and if they really go far with the laws of physics, you kind of have to be there with them vocally. So she presented a challenge.
Which is very much appreciated when the voice actors here do it.
Yeah, and it's like, and the challenge can also lie in the fact that the story can be very, very difficult. Like Utena was very difficult because it wasn't a difficult physical voice, but understanding the show and the director's vision and how to make this character. there was no real frame of reference on that, so it took some time. So that was hard.
And outside of the normal work, do you have any other animes that you like watch, like on your own, like that's not work related? It's just like you personally.
Like just like any anime.
Yeah, like any personal likes.
The only anime that I've watched outside, because I haven't really gotten a chance to see much of the anime that I've worked on per se. I love, a lot of people love Miyazaki. I love Omoide Poroporo, Only Yesterday.
Okay,
that's like
classics.
my favorite. I love that.
Those are wonderful.
Beautifully done. I love Takahata. He rocks.
Keep that in mind. Well, I guess we're gonna wrap this up here, just
Great.
because it's been crazy. I would love to ask for a favor.
Sure.
Is if you can say something to the extent of, you guys better watch animepodcast.net, but coming from Jesse's point of view.
Okay. Now listen, everybody. You'd better watch animepodcast.net or Jesse will come for you. Bye.
There you have it, an interview with Rachael Lillis, American Seiyu. You gotta admit though, it's pretty rough following up on Japanese Seiyu greats like Megumi Hashibara, but you'll find out New Yorkers are meant for the task because actually, we have one more Seiyu actress coming to you next episode, but who that is, you'll have to find out and wait and see. So until then, Team Appon's blasting off again!
Should I do this while you're speaking? Should I be like,
No, freak. Okay. Okay. Puppy. Peeing puppy.